Okay, thank you all for your time today. This meeting is being recorded for purposes of being available to you later. So welcome to the State of California's 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan Overview, hosted by myself, Chelsea Muehlman, here within the Division of Federal Financial Assistance, that we also call DFFA, here at the Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as HCD. So again, my name is Chelsea Muehlman, and I will be the host today for this presentation. So just a little bit about me and my background. I've been working at HCD for about 6.5 years. I started out in federal programs, and I dabbled in a few other units throughout this department and made my way back to the federal program side. So currently I am the manager for the HUD reporting team. And what we do is we manage and implement plans and reports that are federally mandated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, that we also call HUD. And so right now we are beginning the planning process for the 5-year federal consolidated plan, which will cover fiscal years 2025 through fiscal year 2029. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. We're going to start with a consolidated plan, also known as con plan overview, and then we'll go into the con plan structure, and just a little bit about the structure of how the con plan is developed. And then we'll move into the community engagement, consultation, and citizen participation sections. And then how we at HCD incorporate your feedback. And lastly, the submission process for the con plan. And then we'll open it up for an opportunity to ask any questions. So with that being said, the main purpose of this presentation today is to give you all an understanding of the con plan and a little context on what that entails for a heavy amount of outreach and engagement that we are in the beginning stages of planning. And some of this includes an upcoming online survey that we are going to be sending your way once those questions are finalized. So we're still finalizing the survey questions right now, but this is just something to be aware of that will be coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks. We will also be conducting some focus groups in the summer months. So ultimately, we are looking for your feedback, and we want you to know what you're providing feedback for and really how that feedback and participation will help HCD to achieve our housing goals. All right, so this brings us to our first live poll. So please take a moment to either take your cell phone out and scan the QR code, or there's a link that will be put in the chat for your web browser to be able to take this little poll, which says, what is your current level of knowledge at the State of California's 5-year federal consolidated plan? So what's your knowledge of that currently? Awesome. So in this in this group, we have a little bit, 33%, and we have the majority with some knowledge of the con plan at 66%. So perfect, great. And the interesting thing about these live poll slides is that you can see how others feel as well. So perfect. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so now to talk about the con plan overview. So the con plan is a 5-year plan that first examines housing and community development needs of Californians and their community. So what does this mean? It means that we here at HCD conduct extensive outreach and engagement to the public and our stakeholders, and we do this to hear from you and to determine what the challenges, barriers, and needs of the communities are so that we can take the information and incorporate it into the comp plan. So the other part of what the comp plan does is it lays out and plans how the federal funds will be used to address those community needs and improve the quality of life for all Californians. And so the comp plan is basically our federal outline for the next 5 fiscal years. So let's discuss the federal funds mentioned on the prior slide. So we at HCD serve as the state of California administrators. We receive the funding for our federal programs directly from HUD. And the way that we receive the funds are annually, typically around March or April, so around this time right now. And we enter those allocation amounts into our annual updates to the comp plan. That's also known as our annual action plan. So we lay out a plan over the course of the next 5 fiscal years to include strategic goals and goal outcome indicators to work towards, estimated distribution of funding and resources, and how we plan to implement those goals, strategies, and funding throughout the next 5 fiscal years. So this document is a HUD requirement, and it must be approved by them in order to continue to receive funding for our federal annual-based programs. And those programs are listed on this slide. So we have the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program. We have Emergency Solutions Grants, our ESG program. We have the Home Investment Partnerships program, also known as HOME. We have Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, which is our POPWA program that is actually administered by the California Department of Public Health. And we work with them and coordinate with them on that information. And then we also have our CDBG Disaster Recovery and Natural Disaster Resilience, our DR and NDR programs. And then lastly, we have what we're here for today for you, the National Housing Trust Fund NHTF program. And so another thing to note is that this is applicable mainly to non-entitlement areas that do not receive funds directly from HUD. So these jurisdictions are the ones eligible to participate in these programs. All right, so now a little bit about the structure of the comp plan. So each of these sections and the outline and structure of this comp plan comes directly from HUD's database that we use, which is known as the Integrated Disbursement and Information System, we also call IDIS. So what we have here is the structure. It pretty much starts with community engagement, consultation, and citizen participation. So we at HCD do a lot of outreach, a lot of public participation. We want to identify the priority needs that are provided by the public and our stakeholders, so all of you. And so with that, we assess that data, we aggregate that data, and then the next sections of the comp plan, we have our needs assessment portion and we have our market analysis portion. And those two portions of the comp plan are based on all of the engagement and outreach outcomes. So it's a lot of data analysis of the needs and of the housing market and economic conditions. And so we put a lot of data analysis in those two sections. So then after that, we have the strategic plan that's drafted after the needs assessment and market analysis, and it's based on that feedback as well. And then lastly, we have our annual action plan. And so that's basically what we are doing and implementing in year 1 of the comp plan. So in this case, that will be fiscal year 25. So those annual allocations that we receive from HUD each year, those go into this part of the plan. And that's essentially, it's an update to the comp plan, the overarching big comp plan for that one fiscal year. Okay, so just a few of the different types of engagement that we our planning. So we have our community outreach and engagement, which we will be doing extensive outreach to determine the needs of the community. And then we will also be doing consultation with public and private agencies to enhance coordination on the programs and policies. And then we also will be seeking feedback from citizens, so all citizen participation, the general public. So we are also just always looking for more ways to network and incorporate your feedback. So we have another live poll to take. So we will put the link to that in the chat, or you can also use the QR code. Okay. So the first one is, when networking and conducting public engagement, do you prefer to collaborate with others in an in-person or a virtual environment? And while you're looking at that, another question here that will help us is, which method do you find most effective at reaching members of your community? So we have different events here, such as roundtables, focus groups, listening sessions, office hours that we're in today, community meetings, consultations, online surveys, presentations, webinars, any existing community events as well. And then lastly, if you have any ideas to share new and creative ways that HCD can better engage and connect with the community and public, we're always open to that too. So it looks like in this group here, we enjoy focus groups and listening sessions. That's great. And also these presentations and webinars. Perfect. All right. Great. Thank you for participating in that. All right. So one more live poll slide here. A few discussion questions. So I'll just read the first one, but I'll go ahead and Alexis will put the link in the chat as well for this discussion question. So the first one, so the National Housing Trust Fund, the NHTF program, provides funding from the federal government to invest in affordable housing for extremely low income, so at or below 30% AMI for individuals and families. Which of the following NHTF funded activities are most needed in your community? So this option, you can just rank the following options here, and you can drag and drop each one once you're in the survey. With the first one as the greatest need and the last one as the least greatest need. So we have the options as assisting current homeowners with repairs and rehabilitation, assisting local affordable housing providers with administrative and other operating expenses, converting existing buildings to affordable rental housing, constructing new affordable rental apartments, and assisting first-time homebuyers. So while you're looking at that, then the second one that we have here that we're looking for some feedback on is to please identify the top 5 barriers to affordable housing development in your community. So if you can rank the categories with the same thing as the first question, where the first one is the greatest barrier and then the last is the least greatest. So while you're doing that, this is basically an example of some of the questions that we are seeking to determine the CON plan goals and associate the goal outcome indicators to each goal. So the goal outcome indicators, we also call GOIs, those provide a benchmark for determining progress in achieving the goals. And those are useful to ensure that our goals are measurable and include specific targets. So GOIs can also help describe what the jurisdictions plan to achieve. We estimate the GOIs over the course of the 5 years. And what's nice about these slides is that you can see how your peers also ranked the activities and the variables. So it looks like here overall the greatest need for these NHTF funded activities is lack of resources for development. That would be for the affordable housing development in the community. And then this one would be constructing new affordable rental apartments. All right, so thank you for participating in that. Moving on. Okay, so here, this is a little bit about how we at HCD incorporate your feedback into the con plan. So what we do is we collect and aggregate all of the feedback and survey data, and then we incorporate that into those needs assessments and market analysis portions of the con plan. And then we use the data to determine new con plan goals and strategies. And this is really crucial. Your feedback is especially crucial in contributing to how HCD does create and implement those 5-year goals. It's based on the needs of the community, and we also have a community needs public hearing webinar where we will explain and show all of the results after we do all of this engagement and something to be on the lookout for. So then here, lastly, we have a little bit about the con plan submission. So upon completion of the draft con plan, we will post the document on the website, and then we'll offer a 30-day public comment period. We will have a separate public hearing specifically on the details of the draft con plan. And then upon finalization, after all of the public comments are incorporated, we will submit the final con plan to our agency for their review. And then once they approve that, we will submit the plan to HUD, and that due date is May 15th of 2025. So there's a lot that goes into it before we submit, and that starts here with our outreach and engagement. All right. Any questions, comments, or feedback? Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for listening to this webinar. If you do have any questions or feedback or comments, you can email us. So I will put that email in the chat. Consolidatedplan@hcd.ca.gov is our email. And we thank you again for being here today. And please reach out.